Hi guys, this is Angela with Panda Kisses, and today we're going to be making this adorable top sip bunny bag, and it is releasing soon, and I wanted to show you how to make it. So we are going to start with the first file. I'm going to be making the 6x10 design, but we are going to start with the ears. You always want to start with the ears, so I have the ears loaded for the 6x10, and they actually fit on my 5x7 hoop. So I have my 5x7 hoop. I have one sheet of tearaway, and we're going to get started. Our first step is to go ahead and stitch that placement step. So I'm going to do that directly on my stabilizer. I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, here's what the placement stitch of the ears looks like, the front and the back of the hoop. Now, the placement stitch allows you to figure out what size fabric you need. So all I do is I go ahead and put my fabric down. I'm going to be using this fabric. And I really just make sure I can get over all of my stitch lines, and I cut all the way across. So I've already done that. I have two pieces here. You need one for the front and one for the back of the ears. And then I want these ears to stick up, so I'm going to use some interfacing. So I'm going to scoop this over. I made sure that this fits. You need two pieces. So I'm using this interfacing. You could use thicker interfacing. It won't hurt. I'm just using this lightweight fusible interfacing right here. This is what I have. And I'm actually going to use it on both sides of my fabric to make it a little stronger. So I went ahead and did this side. And then I'm going to do this side. I kept the side so I could show you. This interfacing just has some like little glue dots or something on this side that adheres it to the fabric, and it just makes it a little thicker. So I'm going to iron this fabric first. So I have my iron. I'm just going to get these wrinkles out, the folds out. Okay, and then this is the wrong side of my fabric. You can see that's the right side. This is the wrong side. I'm going to take the side that has the rough side. There's a smooth side and the side's a rough side. I'm going to put that down on the wrong side of my fabric like this, and I'm just going to take my iron and I'm going to iron it on. And that adheres it to your woven fabric. So there we go. It's all on there. If you want it thicker, you could put another piece of it on there. I have it on both sides. I don't want it too thick because then it's going to be hard to turn and hard to stitch through. Hopefully this keeps the ears sticking up when we're done, but we will see. So that's all I'm going to do for my fabric. And now I'm going to meet you back over at the machine and show you what we're doing next. Okay guys, we're back on our hoop, and we are going to go ahead and put our fabric that we just prepped over the ears. Just make sure you get it completely over the placement stitches all the way. And then you're going to go ahead and run the next step, which is going to tack that down. I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Tack down. Now we're going to do the detail, which is going to be the inside of the bunny ears. I'm going to do it this color, and I'm going to stitch that, and I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so there's what it looks like with the details. Now this is the top, the right side of your fabric. You're going to take your other piece of fabric that we prepped. This is the right side as well. You want to put right sides together. Just like this. Just make sure you get completely over your tack line. If your fabric is directional, make sure to watch that as well. Just make sure to get over that placement stitch. And then we're going to go ahead and stitch the last step for the ears, which is step 4. And it's just going to go ahead and connect those two. Okay, so this is what your ears look like. There's the front, there's the back of your hoop. So you're just going to go ahead and take it out of your hoop. I pull all the stabilizer off because I don't want to see any of it in between my ears. Although we're flipping this, so you probably won't see it. You can choose to leave your stabilizer in here if you want, because we're going to be flipping this. I'm going to take mine out because mine's kind of crunchy. Listen to it. It's kind of loud, so I'm taking mine out, or at least around this part. Okay. Then you're going to take scissors and you're just going to cut around your ears. Just don't cut your stitches. I'm just going to leave some extra fabric down there because we're going to end up placing that inside of our bag. Now we're going to flip our ears. There's a hole down here. You're just going to flip them inside out. Now, depending on like how thick of the stabilizer or the interfacing you use will determine on how easy it is for you to flip this. I'm just going to get my little chopstick tool that I always use because it's probably going to be helpful here. I like to put my finger in like this on that side and then just pull through, if it will do that. Sorry, my dogs were barking. I need to record like in the middle of the night when nobody's up. But so there's this one. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other one. I just stopped the video because no one wants to hear them barking. It does kind of help if you put your finger in on the rough side and then just pull it through, if it will do it. Okay. Go. And then when you get it through part of it, then I just use this tool to get the rest of it out. Be kind of careful because this is woven fabric. I'm using the blunt side, not the pointy. Well, I guess I'm using the pointy side. She used the blunt side so you don't go like directly through your fabric. Don't push too hard. But now we have our two little bunny ears and we can set those aside until we need them. And I'm going to meet you back over at the machine and we're going to start the actual bunny bag. Okay guys, I have the bunny loaded, that's the bag, and I'm making a 6x10 size, so I have my bigger hoop on now, and I have one sheet of tearaway. So we're gonna go ahead and start like we always do. We're gonna go ahead and do the placement stitch directly on the stabilizer. I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, this is what our placement stitch looks like. This is set up a little different since this is a top zip. It's placed a little differently. So you still need to decide, I'm gonna go this way. This will be the front of your bag like this. So you can decide which way you want your zipper to pull, either this way or that way. That will determine which way you want to place your zipper. You either want to go this way or this way. I want mine to zipper this way, so I'm going to place it here. You want to place, this one's a little touchier. You have to be more exact on this zipper to make it catch both sides. So you want it to be right above this stitch line right here where you can barely see it right there. You want to be able to see the stitch line, but just barely. So you're going to want to get it exactly like that all the way across. Then you can go ahead and tape both sides, and then the next step is going to tack that zipper down, kind of like the other bags. It's just going to go ahead and do one line at the bottom. It's going to jump over the zipper, the teeth, and then it's going to do the line at the top. But you need to be a little more precise on the zipper. If you don't place the zipper right, it's not going to catch right. So there's not a lot of leeway in this one, where there is in the other zipper bags. So these top zipper bags, you have to be pretty precise. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place mine exactly like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the tack down. I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, here's what it looks like with the zipper tack down. You can see that line. I'm really close to it. And you can see how wide the tack down is for the zipper. Now normally, the zipper's down here because normally you don't have it at the very top of the bag. So the placement has to be pretty exact on this, and it has to do with your foot getting by the stitching. So this is how it is, and we are going to go ahead and do the tack down of the next step. Just be really precise when you place the zipper. So the next step is to go ahead and do the placement for the ears and also the placement for the strap. One strap placement, here's the other strap placement, and these are for the ears, the placement. So I went ahead and bought some of this cording, and here's what it is. It's cable cord, And I cut mine to 30 inches. My daughter, I just went and measured. I want it to be a crossover bag for her. And I measured right at about 30. It gives me a little bit of room for the placement and to get it on here right. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is to go ahead and tack down this first corner of cording. And this one is gonna go over here. And when I cut it, just to think, I burned the edge. One, that will help it stay in your bag, but two, it will help it from unraveling. So you are gonna place your cording basically in the middle of that placement line right there, and then you're going to run the next step and it's going to tack that down. So I'm going to go ahead and run the next step and I'll come back and show you. See that it tacked down right there. Now I'm using cording, so it doesn't really matter because I don't truly have a straightforward side, but I run it. Basically, you're going to want to run it. Get it over. You're going to want to run it so it's straight all the way over. So if you had ribbon, you have a right and a wrong side to your ribbon. This side would be like this. You would have tacked that down right there. Then you're going to run your right side of your ribbon. Make sure it's not twisted all the way around like this, so it's not twisted at all. And then you're going to go like this. So the right side of your ribbon's still facing up and you're not twisted at all. And it's going to get tacked in there. So I hope that makes sense on there. Mine is just straight cording, so I'm just going to make sure it's not twisted or tangled. And then you're going to basically, I'm just pulling it through so it's not in the way. You're basically going to tack it up like this. Okay, so I'm going to get it placed right on that placement stitch, and then I'm going to tack down the next side. Tack that down. Now we're going to move on to placing our ears. So you have stitch lines right there. You want to be right under those stitch lines. You can see there's 3 spots here. I center my ear with this middle line, making sure this line is underneath the stitch line. So right here, let me show you this stitch line right here. It's basically going to tack down along that line. So I make sure my ear is basically in the center of that. Oops, I'm not showing you. In the center of that line, just like right there, just so when it tacks down, you don't see this stitch line. So I'm basically going to place that one, and I'm going to place the other one exactly the same way. I'm going to place the other one first because you can see on your tack down, it tack downs that further one first. So I'm going to get it there and I'm going to tack it down. I'll come back and show you. So it is tacked down. It's placed in that middle center line and it tacked down right there. So we're going to go ahead and do the next one. So another tip is to iron your ears really flat so they look nice. It's harder to iron later. So I'm going to get this center, probably right about there, go down until it passes, just passes that line. And then you can tape it. I hold it as it stitches. It's just going to stitch right above this line to tack it down. I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, here's what our bag looks like so far. This is the top of our hoop. This is the back of our hoop and what it looks like. Now we're going to go ahead and get our fabric measured for the actual bag. So what you're going to need, if you're using woven like me, you're going to need 2 outside pieces, one for the front of your bag, one for the back of your bag, and 2 lining pieces. So the way I measure that, you're going to need a piece of fabric from your zipper line all the way down and over. So you'll have to measure this area. You're going to want a little bit extra because we're going to do this a little different. We're going to fold it up and then fold it back down so you don't see this stitch line right here. So you're going to need a piece that's big enough to go a little bit past. So I have mine a little bit longer, and I'll show you what I mean by folding it up first. It's a little different, but I'll show you. It's done in a couple patterns, but I'll show you. So there's this one. This will be the front of my bag. You need a piece of liner that is exactly the same. So I went ahead and cut this fabric. I took my interfacing that we used for our ears, our lightweight fusible interfacing, and I put a piece on this fabric just to give me a little bit more thickness. So I have that. I have my liner, same size. Then you need a piece that goes over the whole bag for the back of your bag and also for a liner. So I just have 2 more pieces. And then the back of the bag, I put the interfacing. The liner, I do not. So I have 4 pieces of fabric, and we are ready to go over to the machine, and I can show you what we are doing next. I actually am gonna start right here. You're gonna want to put your liner on and your front on at the same time. So let me get my liner. Okay, so flip your hoop over upside down like this. Now this bottom line right here, let me get a marker so that I can show you what we're talking about. Sorry, I need tape too. Okay, so this line right here, right above where you lined up your zipper, that is where, I'll do it on this side too. It's actually going to be this line right here, right there, that line. You are going to want to go ahead and tape your fabric there. So let me get this. And you're going to want the right side facing down. So this is the right side of my fabric. You're going to place it down. It's actually the second stitch line, but I'm going to place it under this other one just to make sure I catch it right. You're going to want to make sure it goes over that line, and you're going to tape it down like this. Because basically what's going to happen is it's going to stitch this line right across here, and then we're going to fold it down like this once it's stitched, and then you won't see that stitch line right there. So that's basically what we're going to do for the liner and the top of our bag. So get this taped. I'm going to tape right here too so it stays. Okay, and then I'm going to flip my bag over to the front. Now you're also going to want to make sure that your straps are like completely out of the way of this line and down here. So I'm going to tape this strap up here, and this one can just go straight up as well. You do not want to get your strap stuck in here because it will ruin your bag. So we're going to do the exact same thing with this fabric. Right side facing down all the way up to the top. You're just going to go right below this stitch line, which was your original placement for the bag. So I'm just going to go right there. I'm going to tape. I'm going to tape over here. I'm just going to tape the center too, like this. Okay, so your fabric is all set up. You're going to want to make sure both of these stay straight up for this next stitch. So I'm going to bring you over to the machine, and I'm going to show you what we do next. I'm on my machine. I made sure my fabric's up. I made sure my underneath fabric is up. I made sure that my strap is out of the way. So we're going to go ahead and run step 8. It's going to do that line all the way across your fabric right here, tacking both the liner and the top of your bag down. Okay, so it went ahead and did that one straight line across. You can see that it didn't stitch very straight right here because of my cording. It does not love this cording, so use it at your own risk. It's a little thick, but I would think like a shoestring that was long enough would be really good. Ribbon's really good. Some other things. This looks pretty, but it's pretty thick, and my machine did not love it. It did it, but it didn't love it. Okay, so our next step, now we're going to pull our front all the way down. You can take your tape off. I have tape sitting here. Let me get my tape off. Sorry. Okay, you are going to pull this fabric all the way down, make it all smooth. And now it's going to go ahead. You don't want your liner pulled down yet because we're going to stitch some details, and you don't want to see your details. Your liner, we'll cover that later. So just make sure your fabric's all the way down and straight, and then go ahead and stitch your next step, which is step 9. It's going to go ahead and stitch that shape, and it's basically just going to tack down the front of your bag. All around the bag like that. So the front is tacked down. We still have our liner back here. So we're going to go ahead and do details now. So we're going to run these eyes. I'm going to do mine this dark gray. I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Now we're going to go ahead and do step 11, which is the little whites in the eyes. So I switched to white. I'm going to go ahead and stitch that. I'll come back and show you. Go ahead and stitch the whites in the eyes. Now we're going to go ahead and stitch step 12, which is the nose and the mouth. I'm going to make mine this pink. So I'll go ahead and stitch that and come back and show you. Guys, it went ahead and stitched all the details. We're done with the details. Now the next step you'll see is the same shape. This is to tack down the liner. Now that we're done with all the details, we want to pull our liner down. So we're going to flip our bag, and you have this liner right here. You are going to pull this down. You can take this tape off because we don't need it anymore. And take tape off of both sides. Sorry, I'm doing it one-handed. Okay, so you can pull it down like this, and you're going to want to go ahead and just tape it so it's straight and how you want it. And then the next step's just going to do the same thing it did to the front. It's going to go around this line, and it's going to tack down your liner. So I'm going to go ahead and tape, get it all straight, tape here and here, and then I'm going to go ahead and run step 13, which is going to do that, and I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, this is what the front of your hoop looks like right now. This is what the underneath of your hoop looks like. It went ahead and tacked that down, so now your liner's on. So now we are going to open our zipper. So we're going to do a couple things. You want all of your straps to be on the inside. This is where tape's going to be your friend. You want your ears taped in. So I'm going to take some big long pieces of tape. I'm going to tape this stuff down. You do not want the stuff to get in your way. Tape this down. Okay, I'm just going to make sure this stuff stays down. Okay, so you want to tape all your stuff down in your bag, and now you're going to open your zipper. I'm going to open it big enough to get the bag through the hole, but not so big that it's in the way. Okay, so right about there. Now you're going to go ahead and take your top for the back of your bag, your fabric. You're going to take the right side and you're going to place it down like this. You're just going to want to make sure it's over all these stitch lines, whatever size that is. If you have directional fabric, make sure you do what you want correctly with directional fabric. Now we're going to go over to our machine, and we're going to go ahead and stitch the next step, which is going to enclose this bag. It's going to stitch around the outside. It's going to stitch basically around here several times. I'm actually going to just tape this so my zipper doesn't like open right there. Okay, so right sides together, stitch the next step, and I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. It completely enclosed the bag. So we have the zipper open, so that's where we'll be able to get it. Let's flip our hoop over to the back. Now we're going to go ahead and put our liner on, our last piece of liner. So this is the right side of your fabric. You want the right side of this fabric, and you want to make sure it's placed over all these stitch lines. And it's going to leave an opening here at the bottom, so leave a little bit of extra fabric down there. Okay. I'm actually going to go this way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just tape this down so it stays and doesn't flip up on itself. And then I'm going to go to the machine, and this is our last stitch step, so I'm going to go ahead and stitch it. And like I said, it's just going to stitch around the same stitch line that it just did, but leaving an opening right here. So I have it all taped down. I'm going to go to my machine, and I'll run the next step. Here's our bag. There's the front of our hoop. This is what the back of our hoop looks like. So we're going to go ahead and take it out of our hoop because we are done stitching. And then I take all my stabilizer off just because I like to get it out of the way. A bunch of tape on here, so it's a little harder to get out. Okay, and then I always flip it over to the back so I can watch where this opening is. I cut to the side like this. You're going to want some hefty scissors because you're going to be cutting through zippers and cording and everything. So you're just going to get close to your stitch lines. You can see I'm leaving some space. You're just going to cut all the way through your zipper. You're going to cut across. That's my cording. I cut down here. When I get to this side, I go ahead and cut this direction, and then I cut some of this off because you don't need all of this. And then actually you really only need your 2 liner pieces, which are these 2 pink pieces. So I'm going to cut this other bulk out of here if I can get to it without cutting my stitch lines. I'm just going to get some of it out. Okay, so now you're going to flip your bag through this hole. So just take your time because cotton can tear from the corners. So I'm just gonna flip, and you can hear I have lots of stuff. I always make my bag so bulky. Of course, I had to use like thick cording and ears, and so it's not that bad to turn though. You can see it turns pretty quickly because this is the 6 by 10 bag, so it's not super small, and this is cotton fabric, so it's not that bad either. So I'm just gonna get this turned as much as I can. We're gonna turn it again, so you don't have to get it perfect, but we got it turned once. So if you've watched any of the other bags, I'm gonna get some glue. I use this fabric tack glue right here, so we're gonna use this to close our bag. I'm gonna get some of these. So basically what I do is I go ahead and fold along this line. You can see the line. This is why I leave some extra fabric, so I have enough to sandwich. So I try to get this folded line in. I mimic it on the other side. So there's lots of other ways you can close this. I use this glue, but I know there's like some hem tape that you can use. There's some that you can iron, some that is just sticky, doesn't require ironing. There's also, I'm just going to use these little wonder clips to close it, so I kind of have it under control. So you can see I have it pretty straight on both sides. Then I'm going to get this glue. You could sew it. This is the inside of your bag, so you're not really going to see the bottom inside. But I just use some glue. You can see it's clear. I put a little bit on here. It glues really fast. You don't really see it or feel it at the bottom of the inside of your bag. I've been using this on some of the stuffed animals. We've been releasing, Park on the Porch has been releasing a lot of stuffed animals. And it does tend to have a little harder feel to the bottom. So if you can ladder stitch or something that doesn't leave a hard spot, it's probably better. I really need to practice ladder stitching. If you have some excess, just wipe it off. Okay. There we go. Oops, that's really goopy. Let me get that excess off. Okay, now like 3 to 5 minutes on this to glue. In the meantime, I'm gonna pull out all this stabilizer because we're gonna flip again through our zipper. So you can clean this up, and there's a placement stitch right here. You just pull that out. You can cut it or just pull it. I always just pull it. So you just wanna get all this stabilizer off, and then as soon as this dries, I'll come back and show you what we're doing next. Hey guys, it should be done now. We can take this off, and then you can see that I took all that stabilizer off. Now the fun part, we get to turn and see how it turned out. So turn through your zipper. I have all this tape and stuff in here. The moment of truth. Okay, so let me... Just using my hands to get it all pretty, and I'll probably take an iron to it. Okay, I'm gonna take all this tape off. Sorry. Okay. Let me get it all pretty and zippered up. All right, I'll probably put an iron to it, but I wanted to show you. This is the cute little bunny zipper bag, and it's super cute because it has the strap right here and the strap back here, so it's gonna keep it balanced and straight up. So there's the back, there's the front, here's the strap, and then you can see the zippers at the top. You can open the zipper and see there's our lining. You see none of the stitches, and it's super cute. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew how to make this. I hope this tutorial helped you. If you have any questions, let me know. And make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see other videos. And we will see you in the next one.